Welcome to the Sunday morning simulcast with Rom Wills. Don't just cope, overcome. Yeah, don't just cope. Because you know what? Look, let's be real. We all go through situations. That's life. That is life. We all go through some stuff. But there's a tendency of many people just to cope with the situation, right? Like, let me give you a great example because, well, most of us might have had this at one point or another, especially if we use too much sugar. A toothache, right? Now, of course, there's many of us who can just we get a toothache and, we'll just head to the dentist and get whatever work we need done, and that's it. But here's a reality, and I thought about this. I remember seeing a story years ago, right, about, it was talking about doctors who, go around the poor areas and they provide free services. And one of the gentlemen was talking about how he had a massive toothache, and he couldn't afford a dentist. And he was talking about how he coped with it, right? A lot of times we go through things and we cope with it. We cope. We don't really deal with it or try to overcome it, but we cope with it. We get used to it. How many people are walking around with some type of pain, but they can't do anything about it? Or they're in a situation, they find a way to cope with it. It could be a job that they really don't like, but they find ways to cope with the job because maybe they're just not in a position to get another one. Okay, that's understandable. I mean, it's tough out there if you want to change something. But instead of just coping, work to overcome. Overcome the situation. When you get that toothache, go to the dentist. If you can't afford it, save up the money and go do what you got to do. And I'm using that as an analogy for any situation. Once you have it, yes, you're going to have to cope with the situation while you're working to overcome, but your goal should always be able to overcome the situation. If you're living in a poor area or something and it's not good for you, and I know, you got to do some things just to cope. Well, don't just cope. Work to overcome it. Make a plan to get out of it. If you're in a bad relationship, just don't stick there. Yeah, you got to cope with it until you can get out, but start your plans to get out of it. Because sometimes people get caught in a situation and they just stay there. And it could be anything, job, relationship, neighborhood, just ordinary anxiety or depression. It could be, people just say, oh, okay, this is how I deal with it. Okay, what are you doing to solve it? What are you doing to overcome this situation? And like I said, it's not easy. Like a lot of times I get young men and women who will hit me up and they'll say they're going through some stuff. And they'll say, well, how can I deal with this? How can I deal with this? And many can testify that I would say, look, one day at a time. One day at a time. Every day, do something to alleviate that situation. Even if it's just a baby step. That's what you got to do. Because it's tough. Let's just be real. When you're going through some stuff, especially if it's emotional, it's tough. It is tough. I've been there. I have no problem saying I've been there. But what I would do every day, just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. And that's something I do with anything. I just say, and it's, trust me, it's a struggle. But I'm saying, no, this is something negative. It's not helpful. Let me overcome this. And I don't just jump. Because that's tough. But I just, little by little, I wade into that water, little by little. Then all of a sudden, wade in and then do a little doggy straddle, something. All of a sudden, you swimming in it, right? And you swimming where you want to be. But that's overcoming it. It's just something like a fear. Like a lot of people have fears of something, they'll find ways to cope with it. Even lying to themselves about certain situations. No, if you want to overcome a fear, little by little, Don't just cope with it, overcome it. Overcome that situation. I'm going to tell you what, we're all on earth, regardless of your spiritual path, to grow, to evolve, to become better people. 5 years from now, I want to be able to look at someone and say, you know what, in 2025, I'm a better person than I was in 2020. I want to, I'm still a work in progress. And every single person should have that attitude, okay, work in progress. So I'm working to overcome things. And I'm going to be real. And I've had several people, with me in particular, I've had several people say, you know what, Rom, you changed. A lot of people, they'll see me one time and then they'll see me like years later. I'll say, wow, Rom, you've changed. That's because I work to overcome. I work to become better. Always work to become a better person. I work to fight my demons. I don't just cope with them. I fight them. I want everybody hearing this to have that same attitude, regardless of what it is. Work on that issue. Work on that situation. Overcome that situation. Don't just live with it. And like I say, of course, you got to cope with it while you're going with it. But it should be always moving from just coping to overcoming. Overcome that negative thing. Because once you do, you'll find life is just so much better. You'll be at a certain peace. You'll have more happiness. And that's just, like I say, that's just anything. I mean, seriously, if your situation is poverty, you can work to overcome that. Really, anything man-made, you can work to overcome. You can work to overcome anything, but the real battle is within you. It is within your spirit. So the negative aspects that are preventing you from really just enjoying your existence, for being the person that, the Creator intended for you to be, that's within you. Don't just live with it. In fact, that's the greatest gift from the Creator, is to have the ability to overcome whatever situation. So I want y'all to think on about that, okay? And you know what? I'll end this by saying, keep rising and transforming.